Evening, everyone. Today we're going live from the Women Inspiring Network, and we're very glad that you've joined this session today. It's in association with the US Embassy in New Delhi, and WIN is taking forward the conversation of youth empowerment. Today, our panel discussion is called Youth to Youth, with some of you who are India's leading female change makers and trailblazers. I'm Shruti Jalan, founder of the Women Inspiring Network. And incidentally, Women Inspiring Network got launched last year during lockdown. And with our collaborations in reach, we reached 20 million audience. We have a membership of 5,000 women on our platform already. And, we're having a lot of fun because with the pandemic, we all got inspired hearing inspirational stories. So ours is a movement to pay it forward. I'd also like to introduce you to Achint Kaur. She's a reputed Indian television, theatre and cinema actress known for her versatile performances. We have Pritha Sinha. She's a musician who's featured on BBC, and she's also been singing as a solo artist for a decade. And she's also made herself as a Bollywood singer in her hometown in Kolkata. Sargam Dhyan Bhayana is a successful entrepreneur. She started her journey at the young age of 26, something I can personally resonate with. And she's already got so many awards, and she's got some of the best beauty brands in the country, and her company is called Tresmart India. And she's also director of Paul Pender's Botanicals, which is a cruelty-free brand. Satya Therian is an edutainment content creator and a blogger, who's used a social media presence to sensitize the society of the issues which are very backbone of our, economy now. And she's an independent content creator who's grown from an audience which is really, really high, especially during the lockdown. Mriganka Dadwal is an activist and founder director of SLAP, which is Street Level Awareness Program, an NGO dedicated to preventing gender-based violence in India. And she's run a lot of campaigns on women's safety and gender. And Dr. Shamoli Khera, she's an Indian media personality and author. She's a well-known personality in the Indian media and TV industry, and is a motivational speaker. I should say that because, she's really inspired me when I have ever had a conversation with her. A content producer, public speaker, celebrity coach, and an author. So I welcome you all to be on the WIN platform. And I would like each of you, and maybe we can start with you, Achint, and you all can then speak one after, to tell us a bit about your journey and how does it feel to inspire the youth of our country. So just throw some light. So Achint, let's start with you.
Okay, hi there, everybody. Nice to meet all of you first and foremost. Okay, so as far as my journey is concerned, well, I've been working for 26 years now. Predominantly, I'm a media professional. I act, I am a voiceover person. And in the recent past, I have started creating content also. So this is generally what I can tell you about. And as far as inspiring somebody is concerned, well, let's put it this way. I'm a person who believes in herself. It might not be the norm, or I might not match with the algorithm of what is happening, but I believe in the conviction I have within myself, and that's how I move ahead. And like we were just discussing a while ago, I have started creating content. Okay, I think there's a lag. I could hear myself. Sorry. So that's what I mean to say. So in the recent past, like we were just discussing a while ago, is I realized that, how a lot of natural products, I won't even say organic, no, I'll say how a lot of natural products, sustainable, eco-friendly, cruelty-free products, we have reached a point where all these things are required. And this is what actually gave me a push to start creating content around it. I'm getting educated simultaneously about it, and I've started creating content around it. And they're very small little feedbacks I get and say, oh, ma'am, I didn't know about this. Oh, ma'am, thanks for letting me know. And it's just that little, even if two people walk up to me and appreciate that something resonated within them because of it, makes a lot of difference for me. But then I'll keep chatting. So let's move ahead and you guys can come back to me now. Yeah.
Yes. Sargam, please tell us about your journey.
Actually, I started when I was 22. I'm only 26 now, so it's not been a very long journey. But it's definitely been a journey of, learning, and I have a long, long way to go. But yeah, like Achin said about, natural products, that's mainly what I do. We manufacture natural products because I also feel that's the need of the hour, and that's where India is shifting. So that's what I do. And then of course I have two e-commerce websites, and I have a few brands which I've brought in from yeah, United States, from Israel, and from UK. So it's been a very short journey, but it's been a journey full of learning, and I have a long way to go. But I'm very, very happy to be here. And yeah, that's about it.
And why don't we start with you, Shamuli?
Hi. Yes. Hi guys, an inspiring panel. So glad to be a part of this. A bit about my journey would be to explain the DR in front of my name. I am a doctor in the sense that I did my medicine. I call myself a product of the IPS, that is the Indian Perital Society, and it was very much, one of those things that you either end up doing medicine or engineering if you're one of the science students. So I pretty much belong to that era. And soon after I finished my MBBS, I think during the time I kind of knew, but I didn't want to quit. And I said, this is a dream that they've seen since I was a kid, and I don't want to kill it in the womb. So I did it, and in a very filmy style, I handed over the certificate to them, and I said, I want to explore media. If I fail, I will come back, and I've never gone back. And I think one defining moment for me was I remember when I was looking for hosting, scripting, anchoring kind of positions in television. Earlier, I would walk in very proudly saying, I'm a doctor, but I want to do media. And people would be like, why are you doing this? You should just have a clinic, beta. This is very, very, unsure profession. And a clinic is great, just open. And it just kept, I think those moments kind of challenged me, but also fueled the fire, because I said, I cannot let anyone define or my educational qualifications let work against me. So I think once that was kind of successful, where I kind of received acceptance, I proved myself. After that, I just never say never. So if I wanted to write a book, I wrote a book. If I want to be a speaker, I became a speaker. So that's a bit about me.
And Riganka, tell me a bit about yourself, about your journey.
Thanks, Sati, for having me over with this fantastic panel of women, and I'm very happy to be here. So, I was a journalist, and a chance attack changed the direction of my life. So, in 2007, I faced, foiled, and escaped an attack on the streets of Delhi, which was very scary. It was also a reality check as to how vulnerable all of women are, which was way before Nirbhaya. But to escape that post-traumatic stress, I signed up for Krav Maga, which is like a lethal form of street fight. And I think every woman should maybe know a few moves. So anyhow, I did 3 months, and 3 months later, I was like, okay, come on, now tease me, I'll whack you, and forgot all about it until Nirbhaya happened, and that was gruesome. I'm sure we all went, we lit candles, and we were all so angry, but it was also another reality check for me that maybe it is about time, since nobody gives us this very basic life skill, how to be street smart and how to protect yourself if something like this happens. I mean, once something has happened, we can only burn candles. But if we can go to educational spaces, talk to our kids about it, sensitize boys and girls both, wouldn't that be fantastic? Because we don't want to live in a world where four rapes an hour is the norm. It is just not acceptable. And with that thought, I formed SLAP. So yes, it is an evocative name, as I was saying. It is a full form. Its full form is Street Level Awareness Program, because we wanted to go to the streets and talk to people, raise awareness in a society which says "Hamare yahan to nahi hota." I mean, it happens here. It happens in our society, and it's not okay. So SLAP, if any, is on the mindset that we will stay silent in the face of, of things which are unacceptable. We don't want to be living in that society. And so that's about it.
And Trita, your journey.
Oh, wow. I have been an Indian classical singer since I was 5 years old. I was found by my parents to be singing more than speaking, So they immediately caught my collar and told me, go learn Talim. So for 25 years, I've been training in Indian classical music, in Khayal, in Drupad. And maybe the soul in this female body attracted a lot of female strong women. And they called me and they told me, hey, you have to sing for the sisters who are not good out there. So I ended up making a very beautiful collective called Space, which stands for Stop Patriarchy and Choose Equality. And we have been singing for a lot of NGOs. I was based in Delhi and Paris. So I had also an Indo-French psychedelic rock band where I was and playing electric guitar. I was one of the only singers in Paris, like singing
I think she has a bit of a lag, so we'll probably come back to her. But Satya, tell us about your journey and what does youth empowerment means to you?
Since Trita is back, you can go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Yeah, okay. Trita, can you hear us?
No.
No. So why don't you start?
Okay.
We'll come back to her with the next question.
All right. I'm a content creator and I started creating videos in the midst of the pandemic. And when I started with a series called Hacks to Learn Malayalam, and then Hacks to Learn Kannada, and Hacks to Learn Hindi. So basically like short, fun videos teaching people easy ways to remember and learn regional languages. Because growing up, I always thought English was the go-to, right? And now I regret not learning enough of it and not knowing the regional languages around me well enough. So it's been a very interesting journey because I've learned a lot along the way with people chiming in and saying, hey, this in this language means this. And even the cultural similarities and differences that you see has been very interesting. I also make a lot of cooking videos because I really believe everyone should learn how to cook because you need it to sustain yourself and you can feed people that you love. So it's been a very interesting journey for me personally, not just creating content, but also learning so many things and reaching out to so many people along the way.
So my question, actually, this one is open to everybody because our topic is youth to youth and about youth empowerment. So what comes to your mind when you hear youth empowerment? Who would like to go first?
Anybody can.
Yeah, Achit, would you like to start?
Okay, I can start. So as far as empowerment for me, what it means for me is, as far as especially youth is concerned, I feel we are, so my son is 28 years old. I believe I need to learn from him as much as he needs to learn from me. We talk about victimization of social conditioning, but at the same time, that conditioning actually starts from home, and actually the society bit or the peer pressure comes, it's secondary. So I believe people, and what we do is a different thing. I believe people should believe in their own conviction. They should listen to themselves. They should they have to be a little fearless to take steps ahead as far as what they want to do in life, if you know what I mean to say. So for me, whenever you talk about any form of empowerment, everything comes to self first. So yes, as I said, support system is me. I'm speaking from my, obviously, understanding. Let's say support system in me, and my son is the youth. And I would say, yes, I am also learning because I've also become a mother for the first time. So instead of training him or forcing him into what I have learned, it's better while times are changing, be receptive enough and have a beautiful exchange where, you agree to disagree. And at the same time, when you speak to people on a very neutral level, something always stays in your subconscious and it pops at the right time. For me, as far as empowerment is concerned, I feel believing in oneself and taking steps as far as that is concerned is most important. For me, everything is self.
And Dr. Shamuli, your thoughts on youth empowerment, and Pritha, I will also ask you next on youth empowerment. That was the question.
Okay.
Well, Stuti, I think for me, youth empowerment is when a young person has the choice or has the freedom to make his own choices. We don't have any sort of course, we always show them the way or we kind of give them what we feel is the right guidance. But like Achin said, a self-motivated individual is probably the right way to move forward. And sometimes we need to let them trust themselves. Also, make their own mistakes. So there are many times when, someone's telling me, or someone would tell me earlier, or if people tell a young guy this is not the right career, I say let them fail, let them fall and fail, because that's life. The challenges build you. I've realized every challenge has built me and has actually helped me. Otherwise, I would probably be the same person I was 10 years ago. So I feel it's a stepping stone. Each of the stories that even we heard today, all these amazing organizations that these women have started, say from Mriganka to Sargam to Trita, everything has come after a challenge or a lack that they saw in the society from a void. So when we recognize that, and if a youth is directed to understanding that challenges are amazing, failures are amazing and welcoming, they are ready for life. They are ready to take on whatever is going to come next.
Amazing. Trita, tell me your thoughts.
Yes,
on youth
Tati,
empowerment.
thank you. Sorry about that.
No, we understand.
I was moved around. But yeah, I really resonate with what Shamali was saying. And it's really true that if one can get, especially women and girl child, if we can get a choice to do what we want, and we can recognize what our true passion is from a younger age, and if that is, supported right from the beginning, especially by parents, we can achieve amazing things. We know that. And as women, we have the capacity, the generosity to actually change worlds. A very interesting French filmmaker told me, a woman, that India is changing now because the women in India are changing. And coming back to what I was talking about, Space, which is this collective that I formed for about 10 years with my dear friend Ritika Singh, amazing human, it stands for Stop Patriarchy and Choose Equality. We realized the void in the society was the pressure of patriarchy. And it's not only just women, but the men also suffer from it in terms of performance, in terms of competitions and things like that, in terms of bringing money back to the family. Why don't we just have equal dialogues together, find out what's needed for the human race, and stop having these phallic symbols all around the world and wars and etc. And let's bring a more harmonious world together for the human race, and in coexistence with the planet. This is what I feel. This is how I feel I got empowered. I was given the choice to, follow what I loved. The voice gave me wings to fly.
Wow. Sargam, your thoughts?
Actually, I would say that for me, youth empowerment would be, firstly believing in yourself. But I think more importantly is also people believing in you. Whether it's family, whether it's parents, whether it's also people you go out to work with. I've experienced people who have, they are these really senior level bosses in, the beauty industry, and they'll come and tell me, Papa ko bulao, ya boss ko bulao. So that really sort of hurts, and that feels really bad, because you're trying to put across a point, but they will not take you seriously because they're waiting for a senior person or a man or a an older person to come in and talk on your behalf. So I think of course believing in yourself, but at the same time, people believing in you, people believing in the youth. I don't think there's anything that we cannot do. Of course, experience teaches a lot, but to gain that experience, you need to start working, and people need to start respecting you and understanding that you're also trying to do something. It's not I don't think age defines talent or age defines intelligence. So that's what youth empowerment would be for me.
Satya, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think for me, definitely what helped was celebrating my strengths, identifying my weaknesses, and knowing that I can still work on it. Because today, the advantage that the youth have is that we have so much access to the internet, right? If I want to learn anything, all I need to do is maybe sign up for a course or even watch a YouTube video. That's how I learned video editing. I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos, how to do this, how to do that. And I learned it, and then I could do it myself. And like the other panelists had mentioned as well, a good support system is very important, not just your family and your friends, but also if you can find a mentor, or even if you can be in a position to be a mentor to someone, I think that will really help people achieve what they want to.
Yeah. And Mriganka, we need to hear from you, your thoughts.
So for me, if you ask youth, and the first word that comes to my mind is immense potential. So United Nations defines youth as actually somebody who's from 18 to 24 years of age. Essentially, socio-culturally looking at it, it translates into somebody who hasn't really formed strong opinions yet. And therefore, they are the ones who can actually challenge the status quo. Like Sargam was saying, people ask Papa ko bulao. On the contrary, I think, we should trust the next generation more because they have a fresh pair of eyes to look at the old problems and maybe bring fresh solutions. So all I see is like raw fieriness. And the speaker before me said, if there could be mentorships, I'm really happy to share with you guys that we're starting a mentorship program very soon for school kids who can't afford, but all these women who achieved something in their life. I think we can bring them together in one space and a lot of exchange both ways can happen. So we learn from them and they learn from us.
And Shrita, this is a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about music being a medium to empower your audience? Tell us a bit more about space and, the drive behind it.
Oh my God, music I feel has the big power. It's a weapon for social change. It is a fact in my life because the moment I was wearing a sari and playing electric guitar in countries like France and, even India, everybody was looking up to me and saying, wow, that's like the new Indian woman or what? And that gave a lot of power, Of course, the content inside the songs were normally women empowerment or gender equality related issues, or these days I'm also talking about environment. I just feel when you're out there on the stage, it's a big responsibility. You have a microphone, you have 1 hour to sing to a lot of people in front of you. And then, the content is very important. That's why I feel entertainment is, of course, part of the whole game. But if music can be used for bringing about social consciousness in the lyrics of the songs, it's really very, very powerful. I'll come back to Space. Space is a collective where we started as two women sitting in Calcutta, and we wanted to call this band Lack of Space because of obvious reasons. But then we decided, let's play with the word space and let's make space for ourselves. Let bring our voice out in the open. And of course, being in Calcutta, some Bengali aunties used to look at us. We used to wear like really, bikinis and jeans and, wearing saris and half jeans and this kind of thing. And they would look, oh my God. And, so we still did what we did because we thought, we wanted to go out in the middle of the night. We were 5 of us women, 20 of us women, sometimes walking in the night, like, walking, making our space. So I would also talk about mentorship with, what Satya said. I was lucky to have mentors like Malika Sarabhai. She's an activist herself, and Eve Ensler, who wrote the Vagina Monologue. So I had the chance to work with her as well. So they were really powerful women, really dedicated to bring about change and bring about equality for the women race, for the sisters around the world. So it's very important. We work for a lot of NGOs and we brought about real change. I sang for about 200 domestic violence victims, women who really went through a lot of pains in their life, but we were there, telling everyone, singing Kali mantras and getting everyone up and singing. So I feel it all happened with music. So right now I'm totally dedicated towards making more songs about, social change through music, through my lyrics. And my latest album is Pachamama, which is dedicated to the environment, because this is what I feel needs now attention, which is Mother Nature. We need to love her back. And if us daughters of the earth don't come and, save her, who else?
And this is going to be an open question for everybody. In one line, tell our viewers who has been your role model and who inspired you. So one line answers everybody. Dr. Shamuli, would you like to go first?
I probably am not the best person to go first with this because this question has always, put me in a spot since the time I was a kid. You always asked, who do you want to be when you grow? Who do you want to be like, or who inspires you? And I realized there's not one person that I can say I want to be like him or like her. And I always thought something is wrong with me for not having a person whose posters I want to put up on my walls. I just never had that. And somewhere I realized there are traits from people that I love, that I want to make a part of me. And I have this faint picture in my head of which is me in the future, my actualized potential in the future. And I've realized that is what draws me always. Like every time I feel I'm doing something and I'm hoping I'm a one step closer to that. So I think it's a very internally motivated structure. And I believe it should work for a lot of people because you are never going to fail yourself. So it always works.
Achint, your thoughts?
Well, as she said, I mean, yeah, it's the same. I cannot pick a name. If I go right back to my childhood, my mother's father, my grandfather, I think I am a human being the way I am and because of him. It's like I still remember when I was in the first standard, he taught me the concept of pay it forward. So so there's a lot of stuff I feel which I do today resonates, you know, with him. I mean, I'm going to do something or I'm going to take an action and I realize, oh, I used to call him Pitaji. So I always feel, oh, Pitaji had taught me this. So yeah, so he's, as a base, I would say it was my grandfather. And so there was a point in time where I was in Meerut and I went through a lot of this stuff where, you know, eve teasing, somebody trying to molest you, you're coming back from your tuitions, and sorry to put it this way, but it's 7:30 in the evening, it's getting dark and you're coming home and there'll be two men, they'll just unzip, stand in front of the road and you have to run. So I used to carry, you know, like kattas and chakus, bashed up over 100 and 150 odd people. So at that point in time, I rebelled and I fought so much. So at that time, I used to feel, oh my God, how can I just forget a name? Oh my God, I just completely, the IPS of Kiran Bedi. So at that point in time, Kiran Bedi used to be my mentor and I was preparing for IPS also at that point in time. So, you know, in phases of my life, it has changed. But today where I am, I realized you are the best teacher of yourself. When things come, people just leave some moments, some feelings, some emotions inside you, and then you create your own out of that. So today it's completely self.
Sargam, your thoughts?
My inspiration would actually be my grandfather, my dada. And that is just simply because, you know, his zeal for life, his respect for humanity, and also, you know, his thought process of moving on with times. And that is something that I hope I have learned from him, that you need to learn and move on with time. And just the fact that, you know, there are days he's believed in me more than I have believed in myself. So just the fact that, you know, he has that unwavering faith for people, and that, you know, this really determined person. So definitely my grandfather for me.
Satya?
Mine's going to be a very cheesy answer. It has to be my mother, because growing up, I've seen her to be very independent. But more than that, the impact that it's had on me is that she's always given me the space to grow and to try and to learn something new. And I think the fact that you can have someone in your life who respects who you are, but also gives you that space to grow, is something that is very, very precious. And I hope that in my interaction with other people, I can do that as well. Be encouraging of the fact that, okay, if you want to try something, go for it. And I'm here in your corner supporting you all the way.
Wow.
But I completely agree with you. If someone asked me that question, I would have also said the same. I came from a traditional family, and my grandmother always thought, like, why am I going to a boarding school, you know, when I'm going to get married? And my mother believed that, you know, education is so important. So I went to one of the best boarding schools in the country. And at 23, I started my communication business, and see, like, now I have this other company. So I just feel we all have some or the other role models. But Mriganka...
You know, actually, just to add on, I'm sorry, just to add on to inspirations, you know, like they keep evolving, you know. When I got married last year, suddenly I feel like, you know, the way my husband supports me, the way, you know, he'll push me to do better. He's an inspiration of sorts to me, you know. I learn something from him every day, you know. So I think these keep evolving. So when I got married, he got added to my list of, you know, people I would want to be like, or people I would want to learn something from. So I think every year, you know, I keep
your list
and
keeps
learning,
changing.
and my list keeps increasing.
So
yeah. Mriganka, your thoughts?
So yeah, absolutely. We are the sum total of people we meet, our friends, our family. Huge influence. That said, I was always a bookworm and more into books than anything else. So hugely influenced by, you know, these thoughts and all. One person that stands out is Ayn Rand. Probably a lot of you read her. Fountainhead. Read her 10 times. And one quote specifically I think, it's like it's been 10 years since I read that book last. So I've read it several times. And the quote that still stays with me, and I can, just recollect and say that to you, is that best is a matter of standards. And I set my own standards. I inherit
Yeah.
nothing. I stand at the end of no tradition. I might perhaps at the beginning of one. And that one monologue, in that monologue, she just made me realize that I do not have to succumb to peer pressure or be afraid to be different or to speak my truth. And yeah, so that one thing. And one more person I have to say, it's very different from what I just quoted. So in class 10, I was asked to do a repeat of, like, give the speech which Swami Vivekanand had given in Chicago in 1893, in the in the Parliament of Religion. And that speech, you're just repeating his words, and I realized, my God, for a kid in 10th standard, I'm listening to words like tolerance and universal acceptance, and I was like, wow, what are all these ideas? I just put a candle stone with an envelope on him, and incidentally, I bring it up also because he was a huge believer in the potential of youth in changing our country. So yeah, these two people really, really influenced me.
Chitha, your thoughts?
Wow, I have to say it's my mother, because she's been really, really beautiful, and she really pushed me out to be really motivated. She was a housewife herself, but I think I'm living her life of freedom and self, empowerment and self-financing myself. She said, never trust and never depend on your husband, on your brother, on your boyfriend, on your father, etc. So she always stood in front of me. But apart from this, I have to say I'm always falling in love with positive women. So today, oh my God, I have 7, or 6 women in front of me that I'm really going to follow and love and hope to do things with. And apart from this, I want to bring light to a spiritual seeker, a woman, because at one point I was really finding, okay, is there any women who actually write spiritual books? I mean, it's always, men who have given us all the Granth and everything, the Bible or the Bhagavad Gita. I feel all has been authored by men. So I was in search of this. And then I ended up meeting Malika, and she was doing a dance production on a Sufi poetess from the 14th century called Lal Ded, Laleshwari, and she's a Kashmiri poet. And her story, her life story, and her search. She was married, she had kids, and when she went out of her, one day she just told her husband, "Okay, I need to really find the purpose of my life." And then she stepped out, and then she found, herself in all sorts of religious, institutions, in a mosque, in a temple, in a church, and then finally, I think after several years, she just was walking on the road and she started laughing one day. And then she's like, I found it. And then they were like, she's like, okay, now I can go back home and share all this, that what I found, my realization. And then she went back home, and everybody's gathering around her congregation. Lala, tell us, what did you find? And then she went and she told, oh my God, first you give me some food, give me a bed to sleep. And then she slept that night, and the next morning the whole village gathered. And then she was like, what did you find? What did you realize? And she started laughing. Ha ha ha, it's so easy, it's so easy. And what is it? And then she said that, oh my God, friends, it's unbelievable. But really, it's not one religion. You can follow anything you want, just adapt anything you want, make your own religion, follow that, and that's going to make you happy and everyone around you harmonious. So that's, then I laughed at all the mess happening in the world, in the name of so much.
Achin, this is a specific question to you. Have you had to battle stigma or stereotypes when you started your journey in the industry you are in? And tell us in any way how, with your experience as an actor, you've been able to empower the audience or the youth at large.
Well, as far as I'll come to the latter first, empowering the youth or anybody is concerned, I'll be very honest, I don't know. I cannot take credit for that. If I have or if I have not, I'll be very honest. I really can't comment on that. And as far as the industry bit is concerned, yes, I initially, when I was offered, I did face a huge issue from my family. And poor guys, they didn't know how to explain it to me. So they put it in such a way which made me feel physically very ugly. And it's like, you really cannot do it. Go look at yourself and etc, etc, etc. And Yeah, I still remember it took me 1 week. I stood in front of the mirror. I mean, I was all of what? And the first time it was, I think I was 23 or 24 years old. And I just stood in front of the mirror and I stood. And after 7 days, I just walked off and I said, okay, maybe you are right, but I have a personality. So now that is the internal, and it took me a lot of time because that still played on me somewhere, being the ugliest in the house, and you are dark and you're a lot of things. So that was my struggle as far as the internal me was concerned. But as far as the industry was concerned, now predominantly I never tried for films initially at all because I wouldn't fit in physically the way I am, the way the films were made and all. Television was always a very clean industry. So it was kind of a sail through for me. And I was offered. Even theater was, totally a sail through for me. I met good people. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of difference of opinion, but I've really not faced a problem, if you know what I mean to say. And I've had people where I can correctly go and communicate without going and saying, you are wrong and I'm right. Okay, I come from here and you come from there, kind of a thing. And I found people like that in the industry. So touchwood, honestly speaking, I've had a great run. Genuinely had a great run. Nothing to complain.
And Sargam, I'm coming to you. You come from a family of entrepreneurs. And tell me, what do you feel from your perspective on meeting certain kind of milestones? Are you constantly reminded about the expectations to be met? So some of your thoughts on entrepreneurship. If you're young, you started. If you've had some learnings you'd like to share, anything. So please share that with us.
Even though my entire family, it's a family of entrepreneurs, but, surprisingly, there has never been any pressure to, meet any milestones. Of course, they let me learn, they guide me. They wouldn't let me completely fail miserably, but there is no pressure of sorts that, you need to do this and this needs to be done. In fact, sometimes I feel like they hype me more than I need to be hyped, So in terms of pressure from them, there is really nothing. But yeah, starting so early, the only thing that I learned over time was to, believe in yourself and also believe in what you're saying and feel confident the way you are, what you're trying to say. Because I just feel like the beauty industry in India uh, is a little bit shallow, and India follows only these certain norms about beauty. So over the time, I've learned over time that there is more to beauty than physically looking beautiful, and that is something I try to change, and I try to tell people I talk to that beauty is more than just looking beautiful or being a certain way, that is beauty. So I think my biggest learning would be really to believe in myself, believe in what I'm saying, and sort of at least try to bring about a change in the beauty industry, that beauty is more than just the way we look.
And this is a common question to everybody. What do you think some of the bigger challenges with the youth which faces today? What are the challenges which we feel that the youth is facing today? Dr. Shamuli, should I start with you?
Well, honestly, I feel there is a lot of external stimulation today, which luckily we didn't have when we were growing up. So our literal motivation or our literal influence was a bit of TV, a bit of people around us, and a lot of our voices in our heads, the students, the teachers we met, a lot of that. Today, my worry is that social media is amazing, but it is how you take it. I don't know if a 16 or a 17-year-old currently is equipped to understand what they should absorb. I see a lot of them having this inbuilt need to want to be seen immediately and everyone wants to be a blogger, influencer. Everyone wants to get on that wagon because a few of them can and did it at a very young age. So I feel that is a bit too early for them. Until they are internally realize that that's what they want to do for the next 10, 15 years, great. But if it's just one of those things where they feel this is quick, quick fame, quick money, let me just get on that. So I feel that might not help in them really actualizing what their potential is. It's a lot of external stimulation, a lot of external mixed signs of who they should really idealize. So I think that's probably their only challenge. Other than that, things look amazing for them. After I think Three Idiots was released and all of that, I remember I think I had just passed out. I was doing theater at that time. I had not exactly entered the TV industry, but I remember we walked out of the theater and my dad is like, "Oh, good, I'm letting you do what you want now. I'm not like that person in Three Idiots." And I remember after that, people's avenues, parents' avenues, mindsets opened. It's okay if they want to pursue fashion, they want to be a musician, they want to be an actor. There was no more taboo about the fact that even if you want to be a chef, a restaurateur. So I think they are in a much amazing space than we were, 10, 15 years back. So that definitely works for them. It's what they take for themselves.
Satya, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of issues that I see that me personally and a lot of my friends also face is this constant comparison you see because of social media. Like you're on Instagram, you see your friends are having a great time. You're on LinkedIn, you see your peers have got a new job or they got promoted, and you feel like you're getting stuck somewhere on the way. And another thing is because we're exposed so much to the internet, we also are so conflicted. Like we are worried about climate change, we are worried about status of society, we are worried that adults are not talking about things that are important or should be considered. So these are all like, it's a very confusing space. But in that way, social media is a great platform in the sense that it connects you with like-minded people that you can have these conversations with where they don't judge you. So I feel like at this point of time, the most important thing is to find people who are like-minded, who you can talk about these things, and then you'll find your way somehow.
Riganka, your thoughts?
Couldn't resonate more with my co-panelists. Yes, today's youth is living in an era of instant gratification. So everything is instant. You put a nice picture and instantly you can get FB likes. Then why go out in the real world and maybe, tackle the real challenges, because there comes failure. So I believe that it is also the greatest opportunity, because we also live in an era because of social media where you can find people who are like-minded, you can find support. You want to take a stand for a cause, you can instantly raise funds. But at the same time, it sometimes restricts your, range of motion to armchair activism, because all the fire. So to young people, I'd like to say, conserve your fire and do something larger with your anger or whatever, like direct it more. So we are all over the place, maybe because there is so much information overload. That, I guess, would be the biggest challenge. Yeah.
And your thoughts, Achint?
Well, from where I see it, so if I see smaller towns in India and then I see the metros, the youth is completely different in both the zones, actually, if you look at it. There is a confusion back there because there is a lot of awareness and a lot of restriction, which I've normally not seen in bigger cities with kids. So they cannot figure out, if that person can do it, why can't I? Right? Somewhere down the line, they are still conditioned in a way to say, no, this is my tradition. I should follow this. No, this is wrong or right. Or let's put it this way, I'll say it in a very simple format. See the content on television, and then see the content on films, and then now see the content on OTT. So considering it's just business and we are catering for the audience here, and imagine television is the major audience and OTT is the major audience. If you see the content, you realize confusion in the youth. You just see the content and you'll realize how drastically different it is. Drama is so important still for the youth. Whereas if you look at it, actually cutting down the drama from your life is more important. So that's the easier way to say. I said there is awareness, but there is a lot of confusion yet. So that's why I always keep coming back to find yourself. Otherwise, people will get lost along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sargam, your thoughts?
I would actually agree with Mriganka and Satya. Just the fact that unrealistic standards set on social media, where you look at influencers, bloggers, look at, those things, you feel like they're living the perfect life. You want to be that, that I think nowadays the youth tend to forget that there's a world beyond social media, and also this entire concept of information overload, anything, I'll Google it. Sometimes, you just you don't need that much information. It leads to more confusion, more too many ideas, too many thoughts, too many things that are not required. So I would say social media and information overload, definitely.
Trithai, any thoughts from you on youth empowerment?
Sure. I would love if we can introduce music and meditation as a compulsory period in every school, every college, every office, every institution. Because when you open, in the morning your eyes and you walk into an organization which is completely scattered, coming with a lot of information in their head regarding their homes, etc., we need something which will bring everyone together. And two things really brings that: meditation, a little bit of a focus on breath for yourself, and music has the power to bring the whole group together. Just simple exercises like, beats or something, an om together, that would be really nice. So I think this is not a challenge. This is something that can be done. It can be executed. I would love to keep, suggesting this wherever possible, one day in the Rajya Sabha, hopefully. But, but what I feel is, all of us, if we realize this power, and right now being in the pandemic, I think the biggest challenge is travel. And I think youth can't travel as easily as well. But soon maybe that will be fixed. I don't know. I'm really confused about what's going on. But yeah, these are the two suggestions rather for the youth, that come back for a little bit of self awareness, a little bit of meditation. I know it sounds very cliched, but if you just concentrate on your breath for a few seconds, wherever you have to make decisions, or early morning when you have to start the day, do some little singing. Everybody, if they can sing, I do workshops called "If You Can Speak, You Can Sing." So if everyone can sing, the world will become a much harmonious place.
Yeah. And Dr. Shamuli, this is a specific question to you. Today, you're one of the most reputed personality in your field. So tell us about a memorable instance, a fresh idea which you thought of as a youngster, and something which has resonated with you even now.
I think when I was, figuring my switch to media, and that was really the big struggle, because, like I said earlier, it was not very common for people who have studied something to switch. After that, we saw everyone coming, and now it's okay for engineers to do something else, doctors doing something else. Now it's normal. But that time, I could feel like the eyes of the entire khandan from both sides are on me, that what PG is she going to do next? And I'm here going, meeting media houses and, offering my services as either a script writer or a host, or, anything to do in that zone, because I realized I want to do something in, something that has a platform. And I remember in one of these interviews where they said, okay, you're great. We would want you to, host our shows that are coming. We're launching a new channel. And I put forward a condition that I will write my own lines. I do not want someone else to write my lines, because at that time, the lines of the host used to be, chaliye dekhte hain kya ho raha hai, and ye dekhiye kya hua. And I'm like, I'm not going to talk about gossip. I'm not going to talk about who's linked up with whom. I'm going to talk pure entertainment, if that's okay. And now when I look back, I feel that was a bit much from my end to put conditions at my position. But it got accepted. They loved it. And thereon, we started hiring only hosts who write their own lines. So I think it got very well accepted. And since then, it is very common, because your personality needs to be a part of who you are when you're doing that. And I strongly believed it then. I strongly believe it now when I started Speak to Inspire Academy 3 years back. Because as a presenter, I felt it's great. Obviously, we all love the glamour. I love being a part of it. But somewhere I feel I was not getting through. Like, how am I really changing their lives? And during that part, I met a lot of people who struggle with fear of being on stage. And I realized I have been an introvert for a major part of my life, but now I'm doing this. So if I can, anyone can. And I kind of took that thought. And in the past 2-3 years, the youngsters who are worried about how to voice their opinions, how to speak in front of an audience, have trained successfully under me in my academy. And that feels like now I'm making a difference. Now, if someone messages me that I made a toast at my best friend's wedding, which I wouldn't have done otherwise, I feel like I can sleep well tonight. So I think just taking the best of what you have and moving forward, instead of thinking, oh, presenter is done, now what should I do next? I always say, take what you have and move forward with it. And you will always have enough strength to give back more.
Yeah. And Satya, I'm going to ask you this question, which is specific to you. How do you feel about social media being a dynamic tool for today's youth and having meaningful conversations and raise questions that truly matter?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important to do that, because especially if you have a platform, even if it's like 500 people following you, 2,000, 10,000, the fact that you have access to so many people who you wouldn't in your daily life is such a huge responsibility and a privilege. And if there is something that you believe in very strongly, and you see that there's an injustice in society that people don't seem to be talking about, you have that opportunity to tell people about it. Maybe it would change the mind of about 10 people, even if it comes to things like feminism and equality, and even for this matter, right, women supporting women. The fact that you can make a video on the topic of not like other girls and make fun of it, because it's not cool to say I'm not like other girls anymore, right? I'm glad to be like other girls. I want to be like other girls. I want to learn from them. There's so much to do, right? So the fact that you have this opportunity is amazing, and I really like the fact that it seems to be a democratic place where anyone with an idea, a phone, a camera can come forward and put forth their view. So I feel like if you have that opportunity, take it up as a responsibility, because you also have to be careful of what you're saying and how you're saying it, because someone could get influenced by it in a negative manner. The second thing is, I think, keeping it as real as possible, because like Sargam had mentioned, right, about unrealistic standards on social media. I had people messaging me like, hey, how are you so happy all the time? Please tell me, I'm so sad. And I'm like, you see just like 15 or 20 seconds of my life. I just show you the good parts. So I think being honest on social media, or even in your interaction with people around you, when they tell you like, you know, you're doing such a great job and how do you manage your work and this and that, just being real and saying, yeah, it's great, but I do have my challenges, but this is how I overcome it, I think makes it a nice conversation, and it's something that they can take away from it.
And Riganka, the last question for you, which is an individual question, and then we'll all do one last winning message, and we'll have to end the session because we are short on time. But Riganka, tell us a bit about your inspiration for your organization street level awareness program, and have you mentored any youth in that, or your thoughts on mentoring?
Sure, Siti. So SLAP, as I was telling you in the beginning of the video, it happened. It was never planned. I was a television anchor, and founding an NGO was the last thing on my agenda, then this thing happened, Nirbhaya happened. I had the education, the tools to do something about it. And I decided, okay, why not? Maybe follow it up as a weekend passion. So then also founding an NGO and really going all out was not, it just happened. A lot of fantastic things happened because right people met me. And I can honestly tell you that SLAP was born on Facebook. It was just an angry post, which I wrote that, enough guys, this is not done. और मैं आपको थोड़ी सी I'll tell you in Hindi a bit of शायरी. I'd written like really angry. And I said, after Nirbhaya, 3 days later, I'd written कि अब मुझे नींद नहीं आएगी, कोई तूफान जो ला दूं तो बात बने. मेरे सीने में जो चिंगारी है, तेरी नस नस में भी भड़का दे तो कोई बात बने. और ये अंधेरे जो बेपनाह पसरे हैं, इनको एक लौ दिखला तो कोई बात बने. So it was just these 3 lines I'd written on social media, and I'd written that, there's a free workshop which is happening. Everybody is welcome. From there, I think we got such immense response from Indian media, from people, from Indian corporates actually. So State Bank of India and ITC, they came forward and they said, why don't you do it at more places? Like, we will sponsor this event for you because this is the need of the hour. So what the conversation has been around social media, I want to say that yes, there are pitfalls, but also it is a place where, you can bring together so much change. So when we got this huge response, including, by the way, somebody from US Embassy also reached out. So we were like, wow, we're doing something really right, maybe. So yeah.
That's amazing. So we've sort of reached the end of our session. So I want you all to give me, I'll go one by one, winning message for the youth of the country to take charge and accomplish anything they want to wish for. Achin, let's start with you.
believe in yourself, do not get into the ego trap of fear. And in fact, if you even fear something, I would say jump into it. If there's something stopping you, perhaps there's something very different and amazing on the other side. So just listen to your heart and believe in yourself. Seriously.
Pritha?
I'd love to sing a song from space. Like a bird in the sky, I wanted to fly, just spread my wings, feel free and die. A world of no questions, no answer to fears, a life without choice, that's why we are here. चिड़िया की वकन में चिड़िया की वकन में उड़ना चांदी सी, इस पिंजरे में नहीं मरना चांदी सी, चिड़िया की वकन में उड़ना चांदी सी, इस पिंजरे में नहीं मरना चांदी सी है। सब कहंदे कुड़ी ना तू कर मन मानी, खट्टी मीठी दो पल दी है ये जिंदगानी, हाय मैं मर जा हाँ सड़ जा, संग तेरे ही है रहना, तेरे ना जिंदगी बितानी, ओ कुड़िए जिंदगी बितानी, होए होए।
That's lovely. We should have started with that.
I was going to say, just have ended with that with rolling credits. I just want a music video. It will be awesome.
Let me know anytime you have a film. I'll send you music.
Yeah, please. Now we're going to really, reach you out for that. But Dr. Shamali, your thoughts?
Well, I always say one thing when I meet young people. Yes, they say follow your passion or find your passion. It's also confusing, but I always say follow your passion with a plan. Always have plans. Don't just go blindly into figuring things yet, because understand at 16 to 20, you are running high on hormones anyways. So you might think you're great in a lot of things, but we need to have a plan. We need to have a self mirror that tells us if we have the ability to achieve what we want to. But at the end, you can create your passion. So don't go by the thing that I'm born with it or I'm not. You can create it. So you can literally do anything you want.
And Sargam, your thoughts? You're young yourself.
I would say again, like believe in yourself. You're actually smarter, better than you think you are. And actually, at the end of the day, I would say, whether it's working, whether it's following your passion, or whether it's just being at home, I would just say, just do what's making you happy and be happy. And that's all.
Mriganka, your thoughts?
So, when I founded Slap, I was actually told, why are you calling it Slap? Can't you call it Clap? And I was like, why? They said, I mean, can't you say it in a way which is not offensive to anyone? But I said, why is it offensive to anyone anyway? So I would say from that day till today, having trained 12,000 women directly in educational spaces, no matter how improbable your dream is, all you need is 3 ingredients: dil, passion, will, determination, and skill. So if you have these 3, ingredients, really there is no stopping you. Sky's the limit.
And Satya, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say keep your eyes on the stars, but your feet firmly on the ground.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We've reached the end of our session. And on behalf of US Embassy in New Delhi and the Women Inspiring Network, I'd like to thank you all for joining us, the panel discussion, Youth to Youth. And all our viewers out there, you can see our live on American Center pages in New Delhi. Of course, on Achint Kaur, Paul Pender's India, Dr. Shamali Khera's pages. And the rest of you, please feel free to share. And it's really, truly been an honor, Achint, Sargam, Satya, Shamali, Trita, and Mriganka for joining us today. So on behalf of the Women Inspiring Network, which is the movement to pay it forward, I would like to thank you all once again.
Thank you for having us. This was a pleasure.
Thank you for being amazing.